Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to explore something deeply personal, something that affects each and every one of us, whether we're conscious of it or not. We're going to talk about how our memories, those precious fragments of our past that make us who we are, slowly disappear over time. Before we dive in, I want to ask you to stay with me throughout this journey. What I'm about to share might challenge you, it might comfort you, or it might do both. But I promise that by the end, you'll have gained a perspective that could fundamentally change how you view your past, present, and future. So please, don't skip ahead. Every part of this exploration builds upon the last. Think about it for a moment. The memory of your first love, your childhood home, the taste of your grandmother's cooking, the feeling of sand between your toes on that perfect summer day. Where do these memories live? How vivid are they now compared to when you first experienced them? And what happens when they begin to fade? The ancient Stoics, philosophers who lived over 2,000 years ago, had profound insights about memory and its place in our lives. Their wisdom, I believe, offers us a framework not just for understanding the impermanence of our memories, but for finding peace with it. As Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, wrote in his Meditations, "Time is a sort of river of passing events, and strong is its current. No sooner is a thing brought to sight than it is swept by, and another takes its place, and this too will be swept away." Our memories are like those passing events in the river of time, here one moment, altered or gone the next. I remember when I first began to notice my own memories slipping away. There was a particular summer from my teenage years that had felt so formative, so vibrant, so eternal while I was living it. But as the years passed, I realized that what remained wasn't the complete tapestry of experiences I thought I'd preserved, but rather fragments, a laugh here, a sunset there, the chorus of a song that played on repeat that summer, but not the verses. This revelation was troubling at first. If these important memories were fading already, what would remain of them in another decade, another two? Would they disappear completely, taking with them the person I once was? The Stoic philosopher Seneca might tell us this anxiety is misplaced. He said, "The greatest obstacle to living is expectancy, which hangs upon tomorrow and loses today." When we cling desperately to our memories, fearing their loss, we're hanging upon yesterday and losing today. But there's more to this story than simple acceptance of memories' impermanence. The way our memories fade follows patterns that are both fascinating and, at times, unsettling. For instance, did you know that every time you recall a memory, you don't actually access the original experience? Instead, you're remembering the last time you remembered it. Like making a copy of a copy, each retrieval subtly alters the memory, introducing small changes that accumulate over time. The memory you cherish most might be the one that's changed the most significantly from the actual event. Scientists call this process reconsolidation. Each time we pull a memory from storage, it becomes temporarily unstable before being filed away again. During this unstable phase, new information can become incorporated into the old memory. This is why eyewitness testimonies can be so unreliable. A simple question like, "Was the car going fast when it hit the other vehicle?" can implant the idea of a collision into someone's memory, even if no actual collision occurred. But there's something profoundly stoic about this understanding of memory. As Epictetus taught, make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. We cannot control the natural fading of our memories, but we can control how we respond to this reality. This brings me to an important distinction: the difference between remembering and reminiscing. Remembering is the cognitive act of recalling information or experiences. Reminiscing involves emotionally engaging with memories, often with a sense of longing or nostalgia. the Stoics would likely advise us to remember without excessive reminiscing, to acknowledge our past without becoming emotionally entangled in it. As Marcus Aurelius advised, do not disturb yourself by picturing your life as a whole. Do not assemble in your mind the many and varied troubles which have come to you in the past and will come again in the future. But why do our memories fade in the first place? Is this a design flaw in the human mind, or could it serve some purpose? From an evolutionary perspective, forgetting is just as important as remembering. Our brains are not designed to retain every piece of information we encounter. That would be overwhelming and inefficient. Instead, our memory systems prioritize information that's likely to be useful for survival and successful navigation of our social and physical environments. This selective nature of memory is actually adaptive. By letting go of irrelevant details, our brains can focus on what matters most for our present and future. In a sense, forgetting is a feature, not a bug. The Stoics understood this principle long before modern neuroscience. Epictetus said, "It is not things that disturb people, but their judgments about things." Applied to memory, we might say it is not the fading of memories that disturbs us, but our judgment that this fading is a tragedy. Consider how Stoicism encourages us to focus on the present moment. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Concentrate every minute, like a Roman, like a man, on doing what's in front of you, with precise and genuine seriousness, tenderly, willingly, with justice, and on freeing yourself from all other distractions." This present-focused mindset doesn't deny the value of memory, but it places primary importance on our current actions and thoughts. But I know what you might be thinking. If my memories define me, and they're slowly disappearing or changing, what does that mean for my sense of self? Who am I if not the sum of my experiences? This is where the Stoic concept of the dichotomy of control offers valuable guidance. Epictetus famously taught, "Some things are within our power, while others are not." Within our power are opinion, motivation, desire, aversion, and, in a word, whatever is of our own doing. Not within our power are our body, our property, reputation, office, and, in a word, whatever is not of our own doing. We cannot fully control which memories stay with us and which fade away. But we can control how we interpret this natural process and how we choose to live in response to it. Perhaps there's wisdom in recognizing that we are not merely the sum of our memories. We are also our values, our character, our ongoing choices, and our capacity to be present. The Stoics would argue that virtue, wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance forms the core of who we are, rather than the specific memories we happen to retain. As we explore this territory further, I want to share a personal reflection. Several years ago, my grandfather began experiencing memory loss due to dementia. At first, our family was devastated. We felt we were losing him piece by piece as his memories faded. But something remarkable happened. Even as he forgot names, places, and events, certain aspects of his character remained undiminished. His gentle humor, his patience, his capacity for joy in simple pleasures. This taught me that there is something in us that persists even when memories fade, something that perhaps transcends memory itself. Seneca wrote, "The mind that is anxious about future events is miserable." When we worry excessively about losing our memories, we create suffering in the present moment, the only moment we can actually experience directly. So how might we approach our relationship with memory through a Stoic lens? I believe it begins with acceptance, acknowledging the natural impermanence of memory without resistance or despair. Acceptance doesn't mean passive resignation. Rather, it means aligning ourselves with reality as it is, not as we wish it to be. Marcus Aurelius advised, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together." but do so with all your heart. We might adapt this wisdom to say, accept the memories that remain with you, love them for what they are, rather than lamenting what they are not. But do so without clinging to them as if your happiness depends on their permanence. This brings us to another Stoic principle, focusing on what we can control. While we can't prevent all natural memory fading, we can influence which memories are more likely to stay with us and how accurate they remain. Research shows that memories associated with strong emotions, unique experiences, and personal significance tend to be more resilient. Memories that we revisit regularly through conversation, reflection, or records like journals and photographs are less likely to fade completely. And memories that we encode more deeply by paying full attention in the moment and connecting new information to existing knowledge forms stronger neural pathways from the start. These insights suggest practical approaches to memory that align with Stoic values. First, presence. By being fully engaged in our experiences rather than distracted, we create stronger memories in the first place. As Epictetus said, it is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. Similarly, it's difficult to form lasting memories of experiences we never fully attended to. Second, intention. We can be deliberate about which memories we reinforce through reflection and sharing. The Stoics practiced evening reflections, reviewing their day's actions and thoughts. This practice not only supported ethical development, but would also have strengthened memories of significant events and insights. Third, externalization. While the Stoics emphasized internal resources over external ones, they did value writing as a tool for clarifying thought. By externally recording important memories through writing, photography, or other means, we create anchors that can help us reconstruct fading memories or at least preserve their essence. But perhaps most importantly, the Stoic approach would encourage us to develop a healthy relationship with the inevitable fading of memory, one based on neither denial nor despair, but on a clear-eyed acceptance of reality coupled with a focus on what matters most, how we live in the present moment. As we continue to explore the implications of fading memories, I want us to consider something that might seem counterintuitive at first. There can be benefits to forgetting. The Stoics recognized that dwelling on past hurts and grievances could poison the present moment. Seneca advised, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." How often do we revisit painful memories, keeping them fresh through rumination when nature might otherwise allow them to fade? The natural dimming of difficult memories can be a mercy, allowing wounds to heal and giving us the chance to move forward unburdened by the past. Of course, not all forgetting is beneficial. When we lose precious memories of loved ones or formative experiences, there's a genuine sense of loss. The Stoics wouldn't ask us to deny this loss, but to contextualize it within a broader understanding of life's impermanence. As Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, bear in mind that everything that exists is already fraying at the edges and in transition, subject to fragmentation and to rot. Our memories, like all things in nature, follow this universal pattern of emergence, transformation, and dissolution. Yet there's a paradox here worth exploring. Some memories seem to grow stronger with time, not weaker. Consider how certain moments from childhood remain vivid while yesterday's lunch has already faded. Or how the memory of someone we've lost can become more precious, more frequently visited in our minds after they're gone. This selective preservation reveals something important about how memory serves our present needs and values. We tend to retain what continues to be meaningful to us, what connects to our current sense of identity and purpose. There's a beautiful quote attributed to Marcus Aurelius that captures this interplay between memory and meaning. Think of the life you have lived until now as over, and as a dead man, see what's left as a bonus and live it according to nature. Love the hand that fate deals you and play it as your own, for what could be more fitting? When we view our memories through this lens, as gifts already received rather than possessions we're entitled to keep forever, their gradual fading becomes less threatening. We can appreciate what remains without bitter attachment to what has slipped away. This perspective aligns with recent research on what psychologists call memory adaptive functioning. Our memory systems don't exist to create perfect recordings of our lives, but to help us navigate our present and future effectively. They prioritize information that helps us understand patterns, solve problems, maintain relationships, and preserve our sense of self-continuity. Consider how our brain automatically strengthens memories that contain useful lessons while allowing irrelevant details to fade. This selective retention helps us avoid repeating mistakes and build on past successes without becoming overwhelmed by informational clutter. The Stoic practice of reflecting on one's day, reviewing what went well and what could be improved, works with this natural tendency, reinforcing memories with practical significance for our ethical development and decision-making. But what about those memories that seem essential to our identity? The moments when we fell in love, achieved a long-sought goal, or experienced profound loss. As these memories inevitably change and fade with time, do we lose parts of ourselves? The Stoics would offer a radical perspective here. Our true self is not the accumulation of our memories, but our capacity for reason and virtue in the present moment. Epictetus taught, "You are a little soul carrying around a corpse." By this, he meant that our essential nature transcends our physical form, and we might add, our collection of memories. This doesn't mean memories aren't valuable. They provide continuity and context for our lives. But attaching our sense of self too firmly to specific memories creates vulnerability. If we believe we are primarily our memories, then memory loss becomes existential threat rather than natural process. Instead, the Stoics would encourage us to anchor our identity in our capacity for virtue, wisdom, justice, courage, and moderation. These qualities can persist even when memories fade, as we observed earlier with the example of people experiencing memory loss due to age or illness, who nonetheless retain their essential character. There's profound freedom in this realization. If we are not merely our memories, but our present capacity for virtuous thought and action, then the natural fading of memory need not diminish our essential self. This brings us to a powerful Stoic practice relevant to our relationship with memory: the view from above. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to step back and view human affairs from a cosmic perspective. Think of the whole universe of matter and how small your share. Think about the expanse of time and how brief, almost momentary, the part marked for you. Think of the workings of fate and how infinitesimal your role. When we zoom out to this perspective, seeing our life as one brief moment in the vast sweep of cosmic history, the fading of individual memories takes on a different significance. All memories, indeed all human experiences, are transient ripples in the ongoing flow of existence. Rather than finding this depressing, the Stoics saw it as liberating. By recognizing the tiny place we occupy in the universe, we free ourselves from excessive attachment to any particular outcome or experience. We can appreciate what we have while it lasts without demanding that it last forever. This cosmic perspective also helps us place our personal memory loss within the broader context of collective memory. Human culture itself functions as a kind of extended memory system, preserving knowledge, wisdom, and art across generations. The fact that we can still read the words of Marcus Aurelius, written nearly 2,000 years ago, demonstrates how human memory transcends the limitations of individual minds. Through writing, art, and other cultural practices, we extend memory beyond our biological constraints. The Stoics themselves participated in this cultural memory by recording their thoughts and teaching others. They understood that while individual memory is fragile, collective wisdom can endure. But let's bring this discussion back to the personal level. How might we apply these Stoic insights to our everyday relationship with memory? First, we can practice presence. By fully attending to our experiences as they unfold, we create stronger, richer memories from the start. Seneca criticized those who rush through life without awareness. They lose the day in expectation of the night, and the night in fear of the dawn. Instead, we can choose to inhabit each moment fully, creating memories worth having even as we accept their eventual transformation. Second, we can curate wisely. Since some forgetting is inevitable, we can be intentional about which memories we reinforce through reflection, conversation, and external records. The Stoics would likely advise us to strengthen memories that support our virtue and well-being, while allowing others to naturally fade. Third, we can practice acceptance. When we notice memories changing or disappearing, we can acknowledge any sense of loss without being consumed by it. As Epictetus taught, don't seek to have events happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do happen, and you will go on well. Fourth, we can shift our focus from preservation to appreciation. Rather than desperately trying to hold on to every memory exactly as it was, we can cultivate gratitude for the experiences we've had and the memories that remain, however altered they may be. And finally, we can remember that forgetting is not just loss, but also renewal. Our limited memory capacity creates space for new experiences, new learning, new growth. If we remembered everything perfectly, we might become trapped in the past, unable to fully engage with the present. There's a poignant passage from Seneca's essay on the shortness of life that speaks to this balance between memory and present engagement. Everyone hustles his life along and is troubled by a longing for the future and weariness of the present. But the man who spends all his time on his own needs, who organizes every day as though it were his last, neither longs for nor fears the next day. This is the Stoic ideal, to live fully in the present while maintaining a clear-eyed awareness of life's impermanence. Our memories, like all things, will change and fade. But if we've truly lived while creating them, their gradual disappearance need not be a tragedy. I'm reminded of a practice sometimes attributed to Buddhist traditions, but deeply aligned with Stoic philosophy. Contemplating the impermanence of a beautiful sand mandala that will be swept away once completed. The beauty isn't diminished by its temporary nature, it's heightened by it. So too with our memories. Their preciousness is inseparable from their impermanence. We value them precisely because we know they won't last forever in their original form. And yet there's something that persists even as individual memories fade. The experiences that shaped us leave their mark not just in specific recollections, but in the people we've become. Our values, character, wisdom, and even our unconscious responses carry forward the essence of our past experiences, even when the explicit memories have transformed or disappeared. Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, used a metaphor that speaks to this transformation. He compared philosophy to an egg, where logic was the shell, ethics the white, and physics the yolk. We might adapt this metaphor to memory. Specific recollections are the shell, the meaning we derive is the white, and the way these experiences shape our character is the yolk, the most nutritive part that remains even when the outer layers have been consumed by time. Consider how a challenging experience, say overcoming a significant obstacle, might fade from explicit memory over decades. The specific details grow hazy, certain moments disappear entirely. Yet the confidence, resilience, and problem-solving approaches developed through that experience remain, informing how we face new challenges. In this way, our experiences live on, not just as memories, but as embodied wisdom. Even as the conscious recollection fades, The learning endures in our actions, reactions, and choices. This perspective offers comfort when we consider more profound forms of memory loss, like those associated with aging or neurodegenerative conditions. Even when explicit memories fade dramatically, procedural memory, the knowledge of how to do things, often remains longer. A person may forget having learned to play piano, yet still be able to play familiar pieces. They may not remember family members' names, but still respond to them with familiar emotional patterns. The Stoics would likely see in this a demonstration of their belief in the human capacity for reason and virtue, even under difficult circumstances. What remains when memory fades is not nothing. It is the core of character that has been shaped by a lifetime of experiences, choices, and practices. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The object of life is not to be on the side of the majority, but to escape finding oneself in the ranks of the insane." Applied to memory, we might say that wisdom lies not in fighting against the natural evolution of our memories, but in finding a sane, balanced relationship with this inevitable process. What would such a balanced relationship look like? I believe it would include these elements: presence in the making of memories, with full attention to experiences as they unfold; selective reinforcement of memories that support our values and well-being through reflection, sharing, and recording; acceptance of the natural fading and transformation of memories without excessive distress; trust in the deeper integration of experience that occurs beyond explicit memory, shaping our character and intuitive wisdom; connection to collective memory through engagement with culture, community, and shared narratives. And throughout all of this, a focus on virtue in the present moment as our truest expression of self, regardless of which memories remain accessible to us. As we near the end of our exploration, I want to address something we've all experienced: the bittersweet quality of nostalgia. That complex emotion that arises when we revisit cherished memories, tinged with the awareness that those moments are gone forever. Nostalgia was once considered a pathological condition. The word itself comes from Greek roots meaning homecoming and pain. It was thought to be a kind of homesickness so severe it could cause physical illness. Today, we understand nostalgia differently, as a natural emotional response that can actually have psychological benefits when experienced in moderation. The Stoics might caution us about excessive nostalgia, seeing in it a potential attachment to things outside our control, the past that cannot be changed or recovered. Epictetus advised, "Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens." Applied to memory and nostalgia, this suggests accepting nostalgic feelings when they arise without allowing them to draw us away from present engagement. Some research suggests that moderate nostalgia can actually strengthen our sense of meaning and social connectedness. By reminding us of cherished relationships and significant life chapters, nostalgic memories can reinforce our values and identity in the present. The key, from a Stoic perspective, would be to experience nostalgia without being imprisoned by it, to visit the past without taking up residence there. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good." This brings us to a profound question. If our memories inevitably fade and transform, how should we live now, knowing that today's experiences will someday be tomorrow's altered memories? The Stoic answer is clear. Live virtuously in the present moment. Make choices you won't regret, even if the specific memory of them fades. Build a character that will express itself wisely, even when explicit memories diminish. Seneca put it this way: "Let all your activity be directed to some object. Let it have some end in view." Rather than frantically collecting experiences to remember later, we might focus on living meaningfully now, trusting that the essence of these experiences will shape us even as their details evolve in memory. This approach aligns beautifully with modern research on what creates lasting happiness. Studies consistently show that pursuing extrinsic rewards like wealth, fame, or even the perfect Instagram-worthy experience yields less lasting satisfaction than engaging in meaningful activities aligned with our values, cultivating close relationships, and contributing to something larger than ourselves. The memories that emerge from such a life may still fade and change, but the life itself will have been well lived. And that's what the Stoics would argue matters most. As Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, remember that man lives only in the present, in this fleeting instant. All the rest of his life is either past and gone or not yet revealed. Our memories of the past and anticipations of the future exist only as current mental phenomena. The only moment we can directly experience or influence is now. This doesn't mean we should dismiss memory's value. Our memories, however imperfect, provide continuity to our lives and inform our present choices. They connect us to our loved ones, our communities, and our shared humanity. They offer lessons that help us grow and perspectives that enrich our understanding. But when we recognize memory's fluid, changing nature, we can hold our memories with an open hand rather than a closed fist. We can appreciate what remains without demanding permanence. We can find meaning in the natural cycles of remembering and forgetting that mirror the broader patterns of existence. Let me share a personal practice I've developed, inspired by Stoic principles. Each evening, I take a few minutes to identify 3 moments from the day worth remembering. I describe them briefly in a journal, focusing on what made them meaningful rather than just recording events. I consider what these moments taught me, or how they connected to my values. This practice serves multiple purposes. It strengthens memories I consider worth preserving. It helps me notice meaningful moments as they occur, knowing I'll be reflecting on them later. And perhaps most importantly, it cultivates gratitude for experiences I've already had, rather than anxiety about what I might forget. There's a beautiful passage from Marcus Aurelius that captures this spirit of gratitude amid impermanence. Pass through this brief life as nature bids you. Make way for others as others have made way for you. If you didn't live to see your 100th year, would the time seem short? Yet that 100 years seems as brief to God as any other interval. With this perspective in mind, every moment can be seen as both fleeting and complete. Our memories, like our lives, are both fleeting and complete. Each existed fully in its moment, whether we can still recall that moment perfectly or not. As we conclude, I want to return to where we began, with the recognition that our memories slowly disappear. This is not a tragedy to be denied or resisted, but a natural process to be understood and accepted. Like all natural processes, it contains both loss and renewal, challenge and opportunity. The Stoics believed that aligning ourselves with nature's patterns was the path to tranquility and flourishing. By understanding memory's natural patterns and working with them rather than against them, we can develop a wiser relationship with our remembering and forgetting selves. Epictetus offered this guidance. Don't seek to have events happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do happen, and your life will go smoothly. Our memories will change and fade as nature intends. By accepting this reality, we free ourselves to focus on what truly matters, living virtuously in the present moment. So what might this mean for you watching this video today? Perhaps it means being more fully present in moments worth remembering, knowing that your attention now influences what you'll retain later. Perhaps it means being more intentional about which memories you reinforce through reflection, conversation, and recording. Perhaps it means practicing acceptance when you notice memories fading, recognizing this as nature's way rather than personal failure. Most of all, it might mean shifting your focus from preserving perfect memories to living a life aligned with your deepest values, a life that will express wisdom and virtue even as specific memories transform or fade. As Seneca wisely observed, the greatest obstacle to living is expectancy, which hangs upon tomorrow and loses today. When we worry excessively about losing our memories, we create suffering in the present, the only moment we can actually experience directly. Instead, we might embrace this perspective from Marcus Aurelius. Every hour, focus your mind attentively on the performance of the task in hand, with dignity, human sympathy, benevolence and freedom, and leave aside all other thoughts. You will achieve this if you perform each action as if it were your last. If this were the last video you ever watched on memory, what would you take from it? What shift in perspective might serve you as you navigate your own relationship with remembering and forgetting? Perhaps it's the recognition that you are more than your memories, that your capacity for wisdom, justice, courage, and moderation in the present moment forms the core of who you are. Perhaps it's the understanding that memory's impermanence is not a design flaw, but a feature that creates space for growth, renewal, and present engagement. Or perhaps it's simply the comfort of knowing that as your memories naturally evolve, you're experiencing a universal human process, one that connects you to countless others across time who have watched their own memories slowly disappear while continuing to live with meaning and purpose. Whatever you take from our time together, I hope it serves you well in your journey. Thank you for staying with me throughout this exploration. Until next time, remember to live fully in the present moment, for that is where life actually happens, and where memories worth having are made. As Seneca reminds us, life is long enough, and it has been given in sufficiently generous measure to allow the accomplishment of the very greatest things, if the whole of it is well invested. May you invest your attention wisely, both in creating experiences worth remembering and in finding peace with their natural evolution over time. And as your own memories slowly disappear, as they inevitably will, may you discover that what remains is enough, and that you are enough regardless of what you can or cannot recall. For as Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.